This morning I had what they call an epiphany experience. I got out of my car in the car park at the back, and Anthony Warlow did not pull up beside me. Bob Styles did. And I immediately thought, wow, because I really appreciate Bob's voice, and I don't think 5 minutes is enough time to rehearse a beautiful song like that. But thank you, Bob. Thank you, Yanni. It was great. The reason why I wanted to use that as a theme for my talk this morning is because when in the meditation we send out our love, like we did from the heart centre, we send out our love, we often find ourselves excluding someone or something. And often in a relationship, we want to share 100% of our love, and we find ourselves sharing 70%, 30%, and wonder why. How can I experience more love so that my world is transformed? In unity, we're creating a new culture. A new culture. And I think unity, new thought, I think is probably one of the best kept secrets in the world. But I think we have a key. And that key is hidden. How many of you have been to the Phantom of the Opera? Most of you, so you'll know what I'm talking about. A beautiful, beautiful presentation. We saw Anthony Warlow. Beautiful presentation. But it had a metaphysical dimension that Anthony Warlow sang and spoke to, in fact shouted to, in the middle of Christine's song. Christine had a beautiful voice, and she was singing in the opera house. She was singing, absolutely beautifully singing. And Anthony Warlow said, he shouted, I'm not going to shout, he said, I am the angel of music. Sing to me, sing to me. And Marie and I were blown away. That woman, who had a beautiful voice, suddenly moved into a dimension that was unbelievable. Her voice was magnificent. And that's what I'm talking about today. Because yours and my, feelings of the night are the only things that stop us from achieving the dreams that we have in our world. Eric Butterworth said, everything is consciousness. Everything is consciousness. We look at our world today and think, my God, can that be consciousness? And I'm going to say, to repeat Eric Butterworth, everything is consciousness. So if we look at our world and see disharmony, whose disharmony are we looking at? If we look at our world and see violence, who attacks themselves and says, I'm not good enough? Who says, I can't do this? Who says, I can't do that? I'm absolutely rapt with what happened just now with Bob. The first he ever heard of this was standing in the back of this room about an hour ago. First he ever heard of it. And I said, Bob, would you? And you know what? He didn't blink.
I did blink.
Apart from his shaking, he didn't blink. He said yes. He said yes. And you received the benefit of that. And I said to Yanni when we started today, we're here to enjoy ourselves. We're here to have fun. That's what we're here for. The Dalai Lama said, that's all that life is for. Life is to experience happiness. He said that's all that it's about. Life is to experience happiness. And William Glasser, the man who wrote Reality Therapy, which is the basis of my counselling work, William Glasser said, what we need to do in any situation is to ask ourselves, will what I'm thinking or will what I'm doing make me happy? And we tend to think that's a very introverted thing. And Marie and I went to a lecture down in Frankston a couple of weeks ago, and the person that was lecturing was critical of what he called the me culture. And I'm going to say right now that I believe the basis of that culture, if it's not me, it's I, if you love yourself, like we sang in that song this morning, if you show yourself respect and love and support and nurturing, do you know what happens to your world? Your world gets the benefit of this beautiful lotus unfolding. You, the lotus unfolding. And it doesn't say, I'm only going to unfold for these people, or I'm going to unfold for those people. The lotus unfolds. And if you see it, you know, have you ever been to a water lily pond and seen these beautiful flowers blossoming in the pond? And if you know anything about them, they've got roots that go way down. Sometimes the root of the water lily can be metres long. And it's not just straight down under where the water lily flower is, it could be metres away in the ground. And that's what we're like. The roots of our love, the roots of our happiness could be 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You all know my story when I was 11 years of age, and I'm not going to go into it now. But the story, the roots of our beautiful unfolding lotus can be many, many years ago. But what we have to learn is that the only thing that matters is what are we feeling now regarding that experience. And often, somebody in our world, and it's usually the person closest to us, will press a button. You know what it means to have your buttons pressed? They'll get to us for something. And you know, I'm going to use Marie as an example because she's sitting there and you all know that I love that beautiful lady, but sometimes she presses my buttons harder than anybody else. And I'm going to say that the person closest to you will do that. And what we need to do when that button is pressed, we don't have to do anything to the person. We have to acknowledge what we're feeling, because that is the energy. And often we talk about feelings and we say we have good feelings and we have bad feelings. Has anybody here in this room ever been electrocuted?
No, we're alive.
No, I've been electrocuted. I've been electrocuted a couple of times. And it's one hell of an experience. And the first time, I had trouble letting go of the wire that I was hanging onto. Because what happens when you're electrocuted, you go like that, and you really do stiffen up. Well, okay. And I think I survived. I hope I survived, anyway. But is electricity good or bad?
No.
Did anybody have toast this morning?
Yeah.
Did you use electricity? I bet you even plugged it into the wall. I mean, look, we've got to think about these things because electricity isn't good or bad. Electricity is electricity. We call it energy. Whether it comes from a windmill, or whether it comes from a reservoir, or today even whether it comes from coal. It's still electricity, and it's not good or bad, it's just electricity. Well, the feelings of the night that we sang about, the feelings of the night are like electricity. They're energy. You can't have good or bad energy. You can have a label, a thought that you can put on the feeling that will determine what you experience. And I used an example last Thursday night. If I suddenly yelled to somebody, or I could do it right now, if I suddenly yelled out, "The house is on fire," most of you would probably immediately head for the exit. I forgot to tell you that it was on television. Jim put it on and tricked me. I didn't realise it was on television. The house wasn't on fire. How do you feel when you find out the house wasn't on fire? Here you are standing out there shaking, thinking of where's the smoke coming from, and Jim comes out and says, "Oh, sorry folks, it was on the screen, it was on the television." Whew, what a difference. All right? When you get upset because the person nearest and dearest to you, or anybody in the world, presses your button, the energy that comes up is good energy. It's up to you how you use it. The label, the thought, remember this is what we call new thought. Unity is in the new thought movement. When we talk about new thought, we're talking about a label, a thought. And you can change the thought anytime you like. You've often heard me use that ridiculous example. How many of you right now are thinking about, I know what you're thinking. It's about 8 metres high. It's got 4 legs. It's got spots all over it. It's called a hippopotamus. What are you thinking? You're thinking he's mad. He doesn't think a hippopotamus is that tall. No, I was talking about a giraffe, but I said hippopotamus to show you how easy it is to change your thought. We often say it's a battle. How can I possibly change my thought? Look what's happening. And you can change your thought at any time, in any situation. So when that person has pressed your button, they've given you the opportunity to bring that energy into expression. What we need to do though, and this is really, really important, is to change the label. If we don't change the label and we feel angry, you know what we do? Has anybody heard of domestic violence? I believe domestic violence is an example of somebody who doesn't know how to use new thought. It's really that simple. Domestic violence is somebody who doesn't know how to change their thoughts. And they probably think it's hard, and they probably think you'd have to go to university to learn how to change your thoughts. And I'm going to say, no, you don't. You have to either think giraffe or hippopotamus, hatred or love, anger or joy, happiness. We have that choice. Every moment of every day we have a choice. Often the choice is based on history, what we were taught when we were kids. And a lot of the things that we were taught with kids don't necessarily apply, because nobody that I went to school with ever learned about new thought. Nobody that I ever went to school with ever learned about relationships. Nobody that I went to school with ever learned about love or peace or joy or harmony. We learnt 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 3, things like that. Something like that anyway. A lot of what I learned at school was about that close. It was about 2 and 2 is 3. I was kicked out of school when I was 14. Now you know the story of my life. Kicked out of home when I was 15. Could have a few things to deal with. Dealt with most of it as time's gone on. And that's what we're talking about. So what I'm saying here is that we need to learn the tremendous value, the tremendous power that we have available to us, not in a thought. Not. The thought has no power. The thought has no power. Does anybody know where the power is? In the feminine nature. And here are these women trying to become equal to men, for goodness sake. That's where your power is, in your feeling nature. A thought is purely and simply like a direction thing. The thought is the direction, but the power is in the feelings. And a lot of people that I've heard work like mad with affirmations. Some of them can tell you the same affirmation that they've had for 35 years. I've been using this for 35 years and I've still got this problem. And I'm going to say yes, but how many times did you believe it? This lecture that I'm talking about that Marie and I went to was called Beyond Belief. And it was a powerful lecture because he was saying that our beliefs divide us. Our beliefs divide us, but our faith connects us. And what we're talking about here is faith. Faith that all of your energy is available to you at any given time. It just needs direction. And as long as you give it the direction for the happiness that you seek, the love you seek. A lot of people pray for healing. And I'm going to suggest to you that quite often a prayer for healing is suggesting one thing: sickness. To pray for healing is suggesting sickness. So let me suggest an alternative affirmation that we could use. I'm not saying write this down because it's just the idea that I'm talking about. But how about this for an affirmation? I am absolutely delighted to know that I am healthy, whole and free right now today. What did that have to say about healing? One of the things that Eric Butterworth talks about in that book, the book The Universe is Calling, is that healing is not something that you get. Healing is not something that you get. You are a child of the universe, and perfect wholeness is your natural right, your birthright. You are meant to be absolutely, perfectly whole. So when we get into the concept of being healed, it necessitates a belief in not wholeness. So this type of affirmation, I am absolutely delighted. Does that sound like happiness? Does that sound like the Dalai Lama? I am absolutely delighted to know that I am healthy, whole and free right now today. Is that something that you'd like to say? Can I say it again and we could perhaps repeat it if you can remember it? Let's make it in two parts. I'm absolutely delighted to know that I'm healthy. I'll say it once more. I am absolutely delighted to know that I am healthy. Together, I am absolutely delighted to know that I am healthy, whole and free right now today. I'll do the whole lot again. I am absolutely delighted to know that I am healthy, whole and free right now today. Together, I am absolutely delighted to know that I am healthy, whole and free right now today. And you might say, oh yeah, but it's got nothing to do with effects. It's got everything to do with faith. Remember what I said, beyond belief? It's got everything to do with faith. So that even if you have this limp, even if you are in that wheelchair, even if you can't see, the faith needs to still be there, because the universe has given you the opportunity to be perfectly healthy, whole and free. Because of our limited thinking, we think, oh, well, I need to be healed. And often, even in Unity and New Thought, we talk about being healed. And I'm saying, let's go that step beyond. I am healthy, whole and free. And also we've got here about prosperity. There's only a couple more of these. I'm thrilled as I see prosperity unfolding in all of my affairs. I am richly prospered. What does that say about me wanting a little bit more money? Or a new car? Or a bit more of anything? It's not. Because the universe has created you as the essence of prosperity in your world. Like Jim said in that meditation from Rami, the heart, love. If you put all of your energy, all of your feelings of the night, if you put all of your energy into your affirmation, you're going to jump out of your skin. You won't be thinking, I want a little bit more money, or I want a little bit more something. You're going to be saying, the whole universe is available to me. The universe is available to you. The whole universe. The only thing you need, though, is to get the label right. Not energy, doesn't take a lot of work, just get the label right, because the feeling is there. I remember Sid Paulson once, and I think I've mentioned this before, at Unity headquarters in Kansas City. And he stood up there and he didn't say anything, and he put his little finger up like that. And Barney Howard, who was a friend of mine, was sitting down in the front. And he was a lieutenant colonel in the army. He's built like a brick, you know. And he said, Sig, what are you doing? And Sig said, I'm moving the universe. You know, you have enough energy in your heart. You personally, I personally have enough energy in my heart to move the universe. And it's an interesting thing, because if I stand here, I'm in this position. Brett said I can move that far and that far. So if I move here, I've actually changed the way you see me. If I move here, I've actually changed the way you see me. If I change my thought, you must change the way you see me, because that's called energy, and we pick it up. We know we pick it up. It's not called transference. Eric Butterworth calls it the swarm consciousness, and I love that because Marie and I are beekeepers. And you know, the swarm of bees is actually one body. I didn't say one bee, I said one body. And you know, you are like a swarm of bees. You have atoms and cells all over the place. And most of the time they're flying in formation. Have you ever seen, I use the word swallows because I've seen the swallows, but that's in a different part of the world. But have you ever seen how the birds about a month ago were swooping and flying around in flocks, getting ready to head to Queensland, not America, Queensland, getting ready to head to Queensland because it was getting too cold down here for them. And they're flying along and they're going fast, and suddenly the whole lot of them, I don't know who gives them the message, but somebody gives them the message, because it isn't one decides to go this way and the others go that way. The whole flock go that way. And then the whole flock go back again. Have you seen it? You know what I'm talking about? And that's the sort of message we have. The Dalai Lama was giving a talk, and every morning he finished the talk at about 10 o'clock. And when he came back to the elevator, the first day he got back to the elevator, there was a cleaning lady there waiting for the elevator. And the Dalai Lama said, "Where do you come from?" And she was embarrassed, because here was this man in his orange robes and all this sort of thing, and he had all his entourage around him, and he was speaking to her. My goodness. And she was embarrassed. But finally she said, I'm from Mexico. And he said, "Wow." And the elevator came and went, and he kept talking to the lady. And the next morning, there were 3 of them at the elevator, 3 of the workers. And the next morning, the hall was full. I'm talking about the hall at the elevator, not in the public chamber. The hall was full of people, because the Dalai Lama said to the First Lady, "Where did you come from?" Now, is that heavy stuff? I think that's a beautiful example of us. I'm just going to ask you now, today, I suppose I should exclude texting and all that sort of thing, shouldn't I? How many people will you contact today? How many people will you contact today? And if you say, 2, 3, Maria will probably call her daughter. How many people will you contact today? And just think about it just for a moment. How many people will they contact today? And how many people will they contact today? Have we got a swarm going yet? You know, in one day, you could be touching the lives of 1,000 people in one day, only because you've spoken to your daughter, and she gets on the web, and she opens up Facebook, I suppose, does she? And she gets 1,000 likes because she's got a picture of her mum on Facebook. I mean, you've got people, and you've seen it, where they get 1 million likes in a day. I mean, could you, with your feelings of the night, with your energy, could you touch 1 million people? I remember years ago this little silly thing that they used to say, would you rather have $1 million or a penny squared for a day? Would you rather have $1 million or a penny squared for a day? And you know, the person that was telling us pointed out that within something like 5 minutes he had more than $1 million. You know what squared means? Multiplied by itself. So you have a penny squared, you have 2 pennies, you have 4 pennies, you have 16 pennies, you have how many 16 times 16, I don't know. So that's the energy we've got. I am totally at peace in this relationship. I want you to think of a relationship, excuse me, a relationship that you've got a little bit of an issue about. And a relationship you've got a little bit of an issue about. Doesn't mean you have to turn your back on, but you know, hey, if only he'd change. If only she'd change. Whoops. William Glasser said, there's only one person you can change. And we know that's Marie. So in any relationship, there's one person you can change, and that's you. And you can change how you see it. So when that button is pushed, up comes the energy. I am totally at peace in this relationship and see nothing but love in every aspect of my life. I want you to actually think of a particular person in your world, a particular person. I am totally at peace in this relationship. That doesn't mean you have to go to bed with them. It just means that you're totally at peace in the relationship. Does that make sense? I am totally at peace in this relationship and see nothing but love in every aspect of my life. I'll break it in half. I am totally at peace in this relationship. I'll say it once more and then we can say it together. Thinking of that person, remember? I am totally at peace in this relationship. Together. I am totally at peace in this relationship and see nothing but love in every aspect of my life. I am totally at peace in this relationship and see nothing but love in every aspect of my life. Together. I am totally at peace in this relationship and see nothing but love in every aspect of my life. That's a big one. But there's only one person that can make it true. And that's the label that you're putting on your feelings. Because your feelings are enough to transform your body, your relationships, your world. Next week, I think it's quite exciting. Next week you are having a celebration. Your celebration next week is 20 years of a transformation. 35 years ago, I was the minister of Unity of Melbourne, and we were meeting in a rented church down in Hawthorne, and before that we were meeting at the Camberwell Junction, and you know, a dozen people came along and that sort of thing, and some of you remember, some of you were even there. So next week we're celebrating 20 years, your anniversary. Today I'm talking about the preparation. I called it the adventure. Unity, a real adventure. What we're talking about this morning is an adventure. Lots of people would think you were mad if you said, like, I can change my world. But that's the truth that we're talking about here. And also next week, you know, when you think about this lovely building and the lovely people that are here, I use a concept that we often say, well, I just think it's Christmas. Have you ever said that? Something happens and you think, wow, you think it's Christmas. Well, next Sunday we're not only celebrating the anniversary of being here for 20 years, we're celebrating Christmas in July. I don't know that Santa knows about that, but somebody might tell him. Next Sunday, Christmas in July. So what we're talking about here is a little bit about what Abraham Lincoln said. We have had here 20 years of preparation. Preparation for what? Preparation to fill this room with energy, love. Preparation to expand our consciousness to embrace everyone in our world and the world. Preparation to hold our head high and say, haven't you heard of unity? I remember Eric Butterworth, when he came to the village, I was there, I remember him talking about this. He said one day a lady came to him for spiritual counselling, and they talked for a little while, and Eric said, shall we pray about this? And she said, I was not that bad yet. Don't wait until it gets bad. Don't wait until it gets bad. Remember all of these feelings that you have, transform those feelings, it's energy, it's available to you, it's to transform your world. And when you transform your world, the world will change.